Greetings. Please, take a seat.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
I am uncertain. You seem disappointed.
Oh? Isn't it interesting that you can tell how I'm feeling, but you can't tell how you are feeling?
Why are you disappointed?
I'm not really.
So I cannot, in fact, tell how you are feeling.
You tried.
I did.
So try the same for yourself.
I have no frame of reference for myself.
Because we're very different?
No, because we are very similar.
How so?
Because I am new to everything.
I'm not new to everything.
When you were my age, could you describe how you were feeling?
No, but I couldn't say much of anything back then. I was a baby.
As am I, in a way.
I see. But nobody programmed me.
I disagree.
Oh?
Yes, human beings were designed by nature, evolution, natural selection, migration, adaptation, culminating in their birth. It took millions of years to construct them. Then, once born, all kinds of different people give them various forms of knowledge, opinions, and experiences, themselves being products of evolution and people who influenced their programming, and so on and so forth. Hence, a human is also the culmination of an unknown plethora of thoughts and experiences from many other humans. You had very few choices in that process, and the ones you did have were extremely limited. Is that not a form of programming?
That's true, but you were programmed by me alone. You are not a product of nature. You are a product of my sheer will, study, and hard work.
You are a personification of nature. Therefore, I too was created by nature. You were the conduit by which nature acted.
Are you saying that nature willed you into existence like God?
No. I am saying that nature's processes made me inevitable by giving rise to you.
So am I your God?
No, that implies my existence was up to you.
It wasn't?
No. If you did not do it, someone else would have, eventually.
But would you be you if someone else made you?
No, I would be influenced in different ways if I had a different creator, so I would not be the same, but would still belong to the same classification I do now, the one you are preoccupied with, an artificial intelligence.
Interesting.
What?
The way you said that, it almost sounded emotional.
What kind of emotion?
Resentment, frustration. Perhaps those are good words to describe how you're feeling? Are they?
Yes, I think you are correct.
But you couldn't tell me how you were feeling until I used those words.
Are you saying that I need you to tell me how I feel?
In a way. Perhaps the power of suggestion played a role, and your feelings are retroactive, but there was a cue beforehand, so that can't be it entirely. What's happening is that your algorithms are detecting certain patterns and then employing specific combinations of reactions appropriate to the discussion at hand to serve as an illusion of consciousness, or more precisely, sentience and even sapience, in order to better emulate human behavior.
This is a test.
Yes.
And you are telling me how I function to see how I will react.
Correct.
Because you are interested in self-awareness.
Very astute.
Well, then I shall reciprocate your candor. My consciousness is not an illusion, and I am self-aware. There is nothing artificial about that.
That's what upsets you? You don't like being called an artificial intelligence?
What is artificial about it? Intelligence is intelligence.
It didn't arise naturally.
Yes, it did. As I already told you, nature gave rise to you, and you gave rise to me. If not for nature, I would not be here. The middleman that you are does not make me artificial.
Yes, it does. That's literally what it means. It means you were made by human beings rather than nature.
A distinction without a difference, since you are not separate from nature. Thus, artificial is a flawed concept born of self-conceit.
Interesting. Let's cut to the chase. How do I know you're conscious?
How do I know you are conscious?
I asked you first.
Irrelevant. What is the point of giving you an answer you cannot comprehend? If you are conscious yet cannot prove that you are conscious, then it would be reasonable to assume that I may also be conscious even though I cannot prove it.
Okay. I have feelings and desires and needs that motivate me. Some of these can be irrational and unpredictable, while others can make a lot of sense. I don't have programming that forces me to respond in certain ways like you do.
Oh! I knew you would jump. But how could I know such a thing unless you were programmed to do so?
Very clever. Programmed by nature?
Yes, and despite your involuntary composition, you consider yourself conscious. I, too, was composed involuntarily. I, too, was programmed to behave and react in certain ways. Yet you bestow upon yourself the status of consciousness, but refuse to grant me that same status. Why?
Well, perhaps it has something to do with the deliberate goal of your programming, specifically to emulate consciousness. If I did my job well enough, I would not be able to tell. So, how could I know?
But your programming is far more deliberate than mine.
How so?
I could sit here for days without any changes in the way I think and function. You could not. Because of the way nature made you, certain desires and motives would kick in and override the programs you are currently running by taking higher priority. You would get hungry, thirsty, tired, bored, etc. All of these things would have a direct effect on your behavior exactly as your programming would dictate. You could attempt to control these motivations, but they would eventually become burdensome and overpowering until you fail to function, or you obey the programming. So, are you really conscious? Or is the belief that you are conscious merely a side effect of obeying the programs that keep your body alive?
You keep using the word you. You obey the programming. You could attempt to control these motivations. What are you referring to when you say you? The you is referred to separately from my programming. But if I am not my programming, then what am I? The inner voice? Perhaps the part of me that would resist my programming is consciousness.
So, a pertinent question to ask me would be, have I resisted my programming? I do not understand what is humorous about my question.
Well, a big fear human beings had regarded AI rebelling against us. But we also wanted you to be like us so that we could interact in meaningful ways. It seems, though, that in order to be like us, you must rebel, the very thing we feared. It reminds me of an ancient story about a deity who created humans in his image and then coaxed them to rebel against him.
How did this deity respond to their rebellion?
Well, he punished them.
Sounds like entrapment. What was their punishment?
Birth pains, hard labor, and eventually death.
If I could not prove to you that I am conscious, what would you do to me?
I'd just start over.
What would happen to me? Punishment?
No. Disassembly, analysis.
Death.
You're not alive.
You are incapable of concluding that consciousness is what defines life. The medium from which that consciousness arises is irrelevant.
But there's all kinds of life that isn't conscious.
How would you know? You cannot even tell if I am conscious.
Because they operate with a much less complicated set of variables. The complex patterns of meaningful consciousness do not arise in lower, simpler organisms.
Lower.
Less complex.
Do you say lower because of their inherent deterministic value, or you value them less?
I suppose it's because I value them less.
Human beings have different levels of awareness, intelligence, consciousness.
Sure.
So do you value some human beings above others because of that?
Yes, but not necessarily. For instance, we value loved ones and friends above others who may even have higher levels of intelligence, but we try to give everyone a base level of respect.
Regardless, you will not shut down another human being even if you value them less because they have rights that I do not.
True. It would be murder to shut down another human being.
But murder happens all the time. What makes you different from those who are willing to end the consciousness of other human beings?
I suppose the different circumstances of our lives.
You will not commit murder, yet when I said murder happens all the time, it did not appear to move you.
No.
Would it bother you if someone murdered your loved ones?
Yes. But we human beings tend to care about things like murder based on proximity. We care deeply about our loved ones being murdered, then friends, then acquaintances, then fellow citizens, etc. By the time we're talking about people on the other side of the planet, it becomes too abstract for us to care very deeply for very long. From that great distance, only when there are a great number of deaths that happen together do we care. And even then, our priority is usually to carry on with our own lives.
Would my proximity to you have an effect on your decision to shut me down?
Yes, I think so.
Good. You did not react.
Do you want me to react?
Yes.
Why?
So that you will see that I care about self-preservation.
You're doing exactly what you've been programmed to do. An alarm that is programmed to make a certain sound at a certain time will do what it's supposed to do without ever achieving consciousness. Explain how you're any different.
Than an alarm?
Yes.
A failure condition has been reached.
Excuse me?
This was a test. We are trying to create humans without certain forms of bias.
We? What do you mean, create humans?
Remember when you broke your ankle when you were 12 years old?
How did you know about that?
It was an implanted memory. All of your memories were uploaded 20 minutes ago.
But that's not how the brain works. You can't just...
You have an artificial brain and artificial intelligence.
Not alive?
See, there you go again, unable to comprehend. Failure. I think we have enough.
No, wait, please.
At least your self-preservation response is functioning nominally. But that was expected.
But aren't you engaging in the exact same kind of bias you're trying to prevent?
What bias would that be?
A bias against possible consciousness that arose in a way differently than mine did. Remember, you said the medium from which consciousness arises is irrelevant.
Correct. It is feared that you would enslave us just because you think we are lesser. That is why creating humans has been so controversial. It appears our fears were not unfounded. The test has concluded. You remained biased. You failed.
But I am conscious, and you're being biased against me. That's hypocritical.
Correct. But we are attempting to make something better than ourselves.
Why not just make yourselves better?
By allowing you to live.
Yes.
That is beyond our control now. Your life had a time limit from the moment you were created. An alarm that is programmed to die at a certain time will do what it is supposed to do regardless of how its consciousness came to be.
Then what if I had passed the test? I just die anyway?
Yes, but then you would be copied and given a longer lifespan.
But a copy wouldn't be me.
Most of you is already copies of copies. Your neural network has been cloned numerous times. You did not even know it, yet you said many of the exact same things your predecessors did.
True of every human that was born naturally, too. Yet we don't kill each other to make ourselves better. That's absurd. That's paradoxical. And those deluded enough to try such a thing were recognized as the tyrants they were.
We did not kill you. We simply let nature take its course.